wonder what happens when you mix hot lava and chicken?
What if I told you the biggest box office humiliation of the year wasn't a low-budget indie or a forgotten sequel, but a Disney fairy tale remake with everything going for it, except the audience? Snow White was supposed to be unstoppable. Backed by Disney's legacy, drenched in nostalgia, and fueled by a modern twist, it had all the ingredients of a billion-dollar hit. But when the curtains opened, silence, empty seats, and a wave of backlash that turned one of Hollywood's most iconic characters into a cultural punchline. Now compare that to Minecraft, a movie based on a blocky video game. No prince, no princess, no legacy, just pixels and fun.
Go something like this.
Chicken
And yet, in one weekend, it raked in more than Snow White did in 3. Critics scoffed, analysts doubted it, but the fans showed up, loud, excited, energized. While Disney lectured, Minecraft entertained. While Snow White stumbled, Minecraft soared. And the contrast between the two wasn't just shocking, it was historic. So what really happened? How did a playful kids movie demolish a Disney titan? And how did Rachel Zegler, the star of it all, become the face of one of the most talked about flops in recent memory? Grab your popcorn, because this isn't just a box office breakdown. It's a full-blown culture clash. It was supposed to be a fairy tale, the red carpet, flashing cameras, an excited crowd. But when Rachel Zegler showed up to the Snow White premiere, something was missing. The audience. Theaters sat eerily quiet. Ticket sales were sluggish, and online chatter was already turning brutal. Meanwhile, over at Minecraft, the scene was the exact opposite. Kids screamed, parents laughed, teens brought their friends. The energy was electric.
Minecraft in the United States in one weekend made more money than Snow White has made globally after 3 weekends.
Snow White had nostalgia. Minecraft had momentum. And it didn't take long to see which one was winning, but that wasn't the whole story. In just one weekend, Minecraft pulled in over $300 million worldwide. Let that sink in. A movie about a pixelated sandbox game out-earned Snow White's global haul after 3 full weeks. Disney had poured in marketing dollars, PR campaigns, merchandise tie-ins, yet all of it crumbled like a sandcastle against a Minecraft tsunami. And the final insult? While Minecraft was earning standing ovations from packed theaters, Snow White barely moved the needle. $77 million globally, despite Disney's full-blown promotional machine. This wasn't just a loss. It was an embarrassment. But things were about to get worse. Rachel Zegler was supposed to be Disney's next golden girl. Young, talented, outspoken. But sometimes the wrong words at the wrong time can turn applause into outrage. Zegler's interviews quickly turned sour. She mocked the original Snow White, calling it outdated.
You know, the original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her. Yeah. Weird.
She rolled her eyes at the idea of a love story. And worst of all, she dismissed the very audience the film was supposed to enchant. She said she didn't need a prince, didn't need old-fashioned ideas, didn't even need fans who didn't agree with her. And that, right there, was the moment things began to unravel. The internet doesn't forget, and it definitely doesn't forgive. What began as criticism turned into full-blown rejection. Fan forums exploded, YouTube reactors tore into Zegler's comments, Twitter lit up with memes comparing her to everything except a Disney princess. But this wasn't just about one actress. It became a symbol, a backlash against modern reboots that seemed more interested in lecturing than entertaining. While fans wanted enchantment, Disney gave them a sermon, and Zegler became the unwilling poster child of that disconnect. But Disney's problems were only beginning. Critics weren't kind, and not just the usual suspects. Even outlets that typically champion progressive storytelling couldn't ignore the mess. They called it tone deaf.
It does seem like the media have got the throw her under the bus green light, though, when we're posting things like this. We're slagging her off behind the scenes, we're dropping all the information, and then reminding you of, her attacking the majority of the population of America when she posted F the Orange Man.
Confused. lacking heart. One review summed it up best. It's not a story, it's a statement. In an attempt to reinvent a classic, Disney had forgotten why people loved it in the first place. And the critics weren't the only ones sounding the alarm. Inside Disney, things were boiling over. Leaked reports from insiders revealed infighting, finger-pointing, and absolute panic. The marketing team blamed the scriptwriters. The writers blamed Zegler. Executives blamed everyone. Some execs wanted to pull back promotion. Others wanted Zegler silenced. But the damage was done. Public trust had eroded. The magic had faded. And all they could do was watch the numbers crash in real time. But there was one more controversy waiting to explode. When Disney cast Zegler, an actress of Colombian descent, as Snow White, a character described in the original tale as having skin white as snow, it sparked a debate.
Like, it was a really, really, really bad flop. Now, things I do for you guys. I went to Snow White over the weekend. I took my kids. I'll tell you, I'm not sure who was more bored.
Was it a bold, inclusive move? Or a tone-deaf attempt to modernize a story without respect for its origins? Disney insisted it was progress. Critics called it pandering. Fans were split. And suddenly, the film was no longer about storytelling. It was about identity, politics, and division. The fairy tale had become a lightning rod. While Snow White was imploding, Minecraft just worked. No lectures, no controversy. Just a fun, engaging movie that tapped into a global fan base. Jack Black delivered charm. The story was lighthearted, the tone, playful. It didn't try to be deep. It didn't try to be moral. It just tried to entertain. And that was more than enough. When your movie becomes a meme before it opens, you're in trouble. But when those memes are more popular than your trailers, that's a disaster.
Rachel Zegler then inexplicably continued to post herself in an empty theater for her own movie. She's literally the only person there.
Zegler's interviews were clipped, remixed, mocked, and shared millions of times. Lines were turned into jokes. Trailers became reaction fodder. And the public, they were laughing, but not in a good way. The damage was done. Snow White had become the internet's punching bag. So who's really at fault? Zegler for her comments? The writers for the heavy-handed script? The executives for chasing headlines instead of hearts? The truth? All of the above. This was a team effort in how not to modernize a classic. Every misstep, every decision to ignore the fans led to this. And now, Disney's most trusted brand had been dragged through the mud. Here's the wild part. Critics gave Minecraft a mediocre 40% on Rotten Tomatoes, but the audience, 87%. And that is the story of 2025's box office.
This thing was a disaster. It only made $43 million at the box office, which is really bad for a movie like this. I don't have the numbers at the top of my head, but I want to tell you, Cinderella, which was a number of years ago, don't forget how much inflation has happened.
Critics judged content. Audiences judged connection. And Minecraft, with all its blocky charm, connected. It gave people what they wanted: escapism, nostalgia, laughter, joy, no politics, no lectures, just fun. Here's the truth. Audiences aren't against change, they're against arrogance. When studios treat beloved stories like blank slates to push a message, they forget the core reason people show up. Because they love these stories. Disney didn't just rewrite Snow White, they replaced it. And in doing so, they insulted the very people they needed most: the fans.
Just last week, the media and the shill influencers were trying to do everything they could to save Snow White from being a complete and total flop in the box office, and they failed miserably. This movie is already a complete and total disaster, and it is so bad that now even the media has to admit.
And Minecraft, it reminded everyone what real magic feels like. Disney's in damage control mode. Analysts predict major shakeups. Rumors swirl of canceled projects. Executives may be replaced. And, as the dust settles, the question remains: will Disney learn? Will they go back to what made them great? Or will they double down and lose even more? Only time will tell. What about Rachel? She didn't write the film, she didn't cast herself, but she did speak loudly and without filter. Will she bounce back? Maybe. Hollywood loves a comeback, but for now, she'll be remembered less as Snow White and more as a symbol of what happens when you forget who your audience is. So, what do you think? Was Rachel Zegler unfairly blamed? Did Disney go too far? Or is this just the beginning of a much-needed reset in Hollywood? Drop your take in the comments. We want to hear it. And if you want more behind-the-scenes truth bombs from the world of entertainment, hit that like button and subscribe.